Well, hey everybody, how are you? It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us for this little brief live that we decided to do today. It's good to have you. I see that people are being notified that uh, we're going live, so hopefully some folks will join us here in just a couple of minutes. It's good to have you coming in. It's been quite a day, hasn't it? I decided tonight I wanted to go outside. I wanted to build a fire and be outside. And the problem is it's too cold. And for me to get warm, I would have to get out by, have my phone too close to the fire, which I thought was a bad play. And so we sit here by the Christmas tree uh, tonight and just spend a little time. I just want to chat a little bit with you. I'm kind of learning a little bit about how Bailey. I'm kind of learning a little bit about how to look at the comments, and I know I want to have a conversation with you. So I'm going to be. The problem with my glasses in this room is I have to kind of look up. Maybe if I do this, maybe I can read. Maybe I can read the comments as well as I can see you guys. So, at my house here in Texas, in North Texas, it's a little chilly here tonight, down in the 40s. I think yesterday it was what my wife's on the side in the 60s, maybe 70s. You're saying? Wow. So we went from warm and not feeling like Christmas to, oh wow, here we come. And I think it's going to be really, really cold. Thanks, B. I think it looks kind of pretty too. Um, it's good to have to see so many of you joining us. I would encourage you to take a moment. We are going to talk a little bit about today's news. We're going to talk about Twitch and that story that I know so many. I've heard from so many of you today about this beloved uh, music director for Ellen DeGeneres show, who became much more than that when it was on Dancing with the Stars, who the report came out today that he had ended his life. And I've seen so much today. I told some of our team, I said, I sent them a long, long text this afternoon, said, man, I just feel the need in this moment because it seems to be so many people are talking about what I've spent so much of my life talking about. One of the things that was trending late today was check on your people, which is really what the Not Yet campaign is all about. But I think the thing I'm going to go ahead and get going. Uh, Again, I want to encourage you, just take a time and take a minute and share this with somebody, because I want to talk to you about the big question that everybody's asking. The question that I see over and over and over again is, how can someone who has such a beautiful wife, three kids, has had such a successful life, who seems to smile all the time? I saw one guy today saying he always seemed to be so happy. How do we get to today's news? And I understand there are rules on these platforms about, so I'll be careful about the actual words that I use. But the question is, it's like it's hard for so many people to understand how someone who can seem to have it so much together on the outside, um, his life can end so tragically. And that's a question that I have been answering for people for now coming up on 30 years. I don't know Twitch's story. None of us know his whole story. But it sure sounded to me a lot like my story. And so I'll tell you a little bit about my story. I intentionally came on TikTok tonight instead of a different platform, quite honestly, because this it isn't simply because it's the my largest group of followers. It's because most of you that follow me, I haven't met personally before. I know on Instagram and some of the other platforms, when we do lives, people, oh, it's good to see you. We miss seeing you. And here it's a lot of folks who have been watching me talk about being the parent of adult kids or ways to talk to young kids uh, about mental health issues. And there's no way I could know all of you. And so this is a place where, wow, look at my eye. This is a place where I think would be an appropriate place for me to share a little bit of how I think my story is so reflected in what everyone is talking about today. And by the way, this is happening every day all over, not just this country, but all over the world. This is not, uh, man, this is not an American problem. It's a human being problem. We could talk about that again, but let me tell you what happens. What happens is you begin to battle some anxiousness, some depression. Maybe you have anxiety. 28 years ago, when I was diagnosed with an anxiety and panic disorder, you've got to understand nobody was talking about this. I'd never heard the word anxiety or depression. Here's what I had heard: nervous breakdown. And I'd heard about, some great uncle, honestly, no kidding, that uh, he just whispered about it, family reunions kind of thing. But, so I had no paradigm for this when I woke up one night with my wife sleeping beside me, two young kids, and I couldn't catch my breath and I was sweating, and I got up and I began to walk the hall of my house because I'm a guy, so you just kind of walk it off. I had no idea what was happening to me. Uh, and I sure wasn't going to tell anybody what was happening to me. I was going to work every day. I was surrounded by people. I was interacting with my family. I would say probably if my wife was talking, which you ought to listen to her sometimes. Her side of this story has helped lots of people, but she would say she may have thought I was a little bit tired or a little preoccupied with work. Uh, I'm looking over at it for kind of affirmation there, but my kids, young kids, but life was going on, and inside I was trying to figure out what was happening. I walked that hall like that for 17 nights. I tried to play Let's Make a Deal with God, and I tried everything in the book, everything I'd ever heard in church, everything I'd ever heard anywhere. Again, never heard of counselors, never read a book about mental wellness, and it wasn't getting better. And I was drawing more deeply into myself. Why? One was because I didn't want to burden my family. Uh, there's a piece of me, and again, this is my story, but there was a piece of me who felt like my job was to take care of my family. I'm supposed to be the strong one for my family, uh, and I didn't want to burden them. The other part of it, honestly, man, I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. I thought something was wrong with me, uh, like I was defective at some level, and man, it was hard. And you isolate long enough. Here's what happens: this little voice. Anybody raise your hand? Any of you guys that are with us right now? Uh, I'm talking about that little voice. That little voice isn't telling you how awesome you are. That little voice is telling you that you're pitiful, that you're not enough, that it's never going to get better, that there's something wrong with you. And then that little voice starts imagining, what if people found out that you were struggling and that you couldn't take care of your family? And well, if I can't take care of my family, they're going to leave. And if anybody, if the people at our church find out, they're going to fire me. Here's the thing, man. Like I love God. I believe in Jesus. I read my Bible. uh, prayed like crazy, and I was struggling. And so kind of the short version of, you start imagining worst case scenarios, and then you start thinking about how you're going to get out of it. See, I've always said that isolation, when you isolate, when you pull back, when nobody knows what's going on, and sometimes isolation is you're by yourself, and sometimes isolation is you put on a front for everybody else, but inside, uh, you're struggling. I mean, again, if you're just joining us, I see folks are continuing to join. I'm not saying this is what happened with Twitch in the headlines today. I'm saying I had a moment today. I was broke down because I saw so much of myself in the story I was reading, the questions people were asking, and you finally come to the place where you start imagining with worst case scenarios. Well, you start like your brain irrationally goes, so how do I get out of it? Well, I'm not going to take, I'm not, what if I stole money? Well, if I stole money, they'd fire me and I'd go to jail. What if I did this? No, I don't want that to happen. Until finally, I was driving here in the Dallas Fort Worth area down I-35, doing faster than I ought to. I think probably 75 miles an hour. And I started thinking, if I ran into one of these bridges, I wonder if anybody ever figured out I did it on purpose. And in fact, I can remember thinking about the joke with my wife and I was how bad a driver I was. I never paid attention. I thought, oh, she'd never know. And just the grace of God, that's a whole nother story that I'd really rather be sitting beside you than on something like this talking about. I'm sorry that you're alone, sweet lady. Uh, I'm sorry that you're struggling and isolating you as well. I mean, again, this is my story, but this is the story I hear everywhere I go. But I know what it's like to get to a place where you are convinced the world will be better off without you. Your family would be better off without you. Why? Because you've isolated, and your isolation fires up your imagination. And at some point, you just give up. And so it's isolation. Imagine you fires up your imagination. It's never highlight film. It's always the lowlights until finally, at some level, you just recognize. You just resign. You just give up, and that's kind of where I was. And again, the grace of God for me in that moment, and just this thought of my wife having to tell my daughter that I wasn't coming home. I couldn't. I swerved back, and which led me on a now 27-year journey of uh, finally going to find a counselor to go see. Again, there weren't very many in the phone book, even the Dallas Fort Worth area. To discovering some of my challenges, to being diagnosed with an acute anxiety and panic disorder, and uh, to discovering for me that freedom was not the absence of those issues, but it was learning how to tap into a power greater than me, to experience what I believe as someone who is a believer. Again, if you're not one, please don't cancel me. I'm not canceling you. I'm not stereotyping you. Please don't stereotype me. Uh, but that freedom was the present, experiencing his presence in the middle of it. And that's why we launched this ministry called Goby Ministries, which you can go to beagoby.com and read all about the goby fish and why we did that. But tonight, I just want to tell you that's why I started the Not Alone campaign. We launched it nationally. I just did one in the holidays. Look, if you're struggling this holiday, look at me. I pick up pictures. Remember those pictures you used to have to go get developed? That we would go get them, the Kodak photos, and we'd have like a year's worth of pictures on one roll, and they were sitting in our kitchen. I'll never forget. And I picked up a picture of Christmas and said to myself, I'll never be happy again. I really thought I'd never be happy again. Again, because I was isolated. And we started Not Alone to find every way we could to help you guys who are struggling this holiday season, just to know you're not alone, just to be a different voice in that little voice in your head. Uh, that's the whole reason we did it. And so we started with, hey, let's find a way that people could text in, because I know that it's hard. You've got to, like, it's hard to, even in an anonymous text, to say, hey, I'm struggling. So we got a number. It's, I'm sure Jen will put it in the comments and pin it. It's 940-329-5049. That's 940-329-5049. You just texted that number, not alone. We're not going to sell you anything, that we're not doing any of that. You just text, and you'll get an automatic text back that just says, hey, man, is there something specific that we could help you with it? Some people say, well, I just want encouragement. Others say, hey, could you pray for me? Uh, some people get specific about what they're struggling with, relational issues. They're like this sweet lady who said she's struggling and she's isolating. And had someone else say, I am all alone. And some people tell us those things. And here's the thing: you get a live person text you back, not a bot. We know auto generated responses. After you text in not alone, and you get this, hey, what would you like for us to be? How can we encourage you? After that, it's a live person. And it's just a way that I think we can, in a small way, say to people, you are not alone. It's not just you. You're not the only one struggling. Thanks, Ross, for putting that number in the comments. It's not you. Like, you're not worse off than somebody else. Everybody thinks, well, I'm an exception. It's harder for me, or you can't understand. Listen, man, I don't know half of you, and I'm sitting here on this platform being as honest as I can be about the struggles that I've had, uh, about how I identify with what happened today. That everybody's talking about Twitch, but this is happening everywhere all the time. And I watch these texts roll in at night, and I watch our little Gobi team just speak encouragement to folks. I also know that man, the holidays can be hard. You look up and there's Christmas trees and lights, and you see all these happy commercials in these movies about everybody having this great Christmas, and it just makes it harder for you. And my wife Micah is sitting over here to my left, and even tonight she just said, "Man, it's been a hard holiday season. It's been a lot of pain." And so I didn't want you to spend the holiday by yourself. And so we said, what if we just invited everybody into our house for Christmas? And you can't come over, but I mean, like a live event. So we're gonna have a live event. I promise you, it's gonna happen on this platform, probably on several other platforms. Uh, I'm so sorry to hear about this friend that lost her husband this year. That's the thing. People are battling grief. And grief gets magnified this time of year. And so we just want to invite people in our house and just to do Christmas. We've had families in our church and people that have been close to us that their families all out of town, and they've come over. And so what we've done is we've opened presents, and we're going to do that. And uh, I like to cook, so we're going to cook something together. But all of it's going to be just for us to laugh and have some fun, but then for us to encourage people that you don't have to spend the holiday by yourself. I mean, look at what we're doing right now. I mean, there's interaction. I'm able to see what lots of you guys are saying. Uh, uh, I appreciate, and again, I can't read the small lettering here, but folks are talking about how they're isolating. I get why you isolate. It's man, it takes a lot of energy to connect, and I'm so sorry that 3 weeks ago, sweet lady, that you were holding your dad's hand as he went to home. That's hard. I mean, you can get all the church talk you want, but the thing about it is it's just hard. And so if you're somebody who's struggling, if you're isolated, I want to encourage you, text us 940-329-5049. You're not the only one texted in. Uh, and just let us pray for you. Let us encourage you. Let's give you a Bible verse that might help you or some other tool. We've got lots of tools. You go, what kind of tools? Well, I've been doing at this for 27 years. And so I've discovered some tools, some things that just help me. They don't fix me, but they help me in these seasons. Everything about this campaign is at beagobi.com. Again, you'll see that's our website, beagobi.com. As you come into the page, you'll see that there on the landing page, it's all about not alone. And I just want you to know that there's two groups of people that I'm talking to. Those of you who are struggling, and I just want you to know I'm sorry, and I want to do everything we can do here at Gobi to help you not feel alone. But then there's lots of you that I want you to know that if today opens your eyes to the reality of somebody everybody knows who, at some level, isolated to the point that he decided it would be better for him not to be here anymore. If that event opens your eyes to the fact that there's these kind of folks all around you at all kinds of levels, I want to encourage you, man, find a way to encourage people. Reach out to people. Ask them how they're doing. And again, ask them again if you just in your spirit don't feel like they're telling you the truth. I mean, there's a lot of hurt in the world. Share this number with somebody. Text somebody and just say, hey, man, I was on this TikTok live tonight, and this guy who seems to understand a little bit about challenges people face. There's a number, 940-329-5049. Just text into it. I'll text in, you text in. Reach out, make a call. That's what Jen Day is reminding us. I'm just telling you, be very careful about isolating. As hard as it is, reach out to somebody else, even when you're struggling, but especially when you're struggling, reach out and just let somebody know that you're struggling. You'll be glad you did. And so, man, I don't want to take a ton of your time. I just want you to know, man, there's somebody out there that cares. Uh, I don't have all the answers. We don't have all the answers. There's lots of stuff I don't understand. Uh, but I do know this, man, you are not alone. I know you feel alone, but you're not alone. You are not alone. And man, God bless you, really. I just want to can I just take a minute and pray for everybody? Hard to talk about, isn't it? Uh, Father, I just thank you so much that you're with brokenhearted people who wonder where you are and you care. And I pray, Father, that through a text, phone call, through one of our live events, that somebody would discover that they're not alone, even when they feel like they are. And I just pray a blessing on them tonight. I pray it in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you, everybody. Thanks for coming. Uh, it's good to see you.